Avery, whose show is this? And we're live. Welcome, everybody, here to the Lakers Lounge Podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin, Senior Lakers Insider for Clutch Points, joined on this fine Wednesday afternoon, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, probably the biggest drinking night of the year, by Raj Chapalu. Raj, you called it something before? Like you and I were texting back and forth before. Like it blackout? What?
Blackout Wednesday. Yeah, actually, somebody texted me a little earlier, and they're like, "Are you doing Blackout Wednesday?" And then I just put two and two together because you were like, "Are you?" You know, you said it's the biggest drinking night of the year, so I'm guessing that's what they call it nowadays, Blackout Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, we just used to call it like Wednesday when I was in college. But it was like, yeah, I remember because I went to school locally, right? So I went to Cal State Fullerton, and I went to high school at Esperanza High, out there in Anaheim. So like it was like right down Imperial Highway from where I went to high school. So when I was in college, you would, on Thanksgiving, there were a couple bars. There was like Canyon Inn, which was at the end of Orangethorpe. And then there was an old TGI Fridays, actually, that was in the Savvy Ranch Parkway.
Mm-hmm.
And either of those places, if you basically went there on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, that was like a high school reunion,
Okay.
and a certain old high school crowd hung out at the Canyon Inn, and then a certain crowd hung out at the TGI Fridays. And I always found myself, I always kind of preferred the Fridays because they had better food. And um and so like I never even like called it a Blackout Wednesday or anything like that. It was just like we used to call it high school reunions. This was our 8-year high school reunion. This is our 2-year high school reunion is what we used to call it. But I guess like I guess that's probably a thing to
Yeah.
people like all over the country, that like they would call it the Blackout Wednesday because it is like legitimately like the biggest drinking night of the year, because everybody knew you could wake up the next day, you'd be cooking, you'd have great food that soaked up all the alcohol from the night before. You would have
Yeah.
a few mimosas during the day. You'd have a couple glasses of wine with dinner, and then you would go to bed at like 6 o'clock, and then you would wake up on Friday feeling perfectly fine.
Right. Yeah. And then you have that whole Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? So I'm guessing that's why tonight you're able to just lose it and blackout as they call it. And you have
Yeah.
Friday off, Saturday off, Sunday off to kind of recover before, the Christmas, I guess, holiday starts, where you do this whole tradition all over again.
Yeah. Some of us carry the tradition out further into the year than others is how I'll say it.
Right.
Tonight on the show, we're going to be talking about the Lakers beating the San Antonio Spurs 119-101. I swear, tonight speaking is a lot less painful tonight than it was yesterday. So
Mm,
I can still hear myself. I still don't sound very good, but I swear it feels a lot better to talk than it did yesterday. I also have Raj here to help get us through this too. So we'll
yeah.
talk about that when we'll talk about the new starting lineup, the new starting lineup as Dalton Knecht gets in there, Cam Reddish gets out of there. Some interesting plus minuses from this game, including Cam Reddish, interestingly enough.
Hmm.
So we'll talk a little bit about that. I also want to talk, Raj, about just like who the Lakers are, right? Like this notion of like, are they just mediocre? And if so, what would that mean for like our outlook for the rest of the season and our hopes that the front office would invest further into this team? So we'll talk a little bit about that. D'Angelo Russell went off tonight. This is his first game scoring more than 20 points in a game tonight. So I want to talk about the game that he played tonight. Was it just a matter of hitting shots, or was there something in particular that we saw from him that might be sustainable moving forward? But let's first look at this game individually. Again, 119
Yeah.
to 101 is the final. Second night of a back-to-back. Fortunately, the Lakers were well rested because they got their asses kicked in Phoenix the night before.
Mm-hmm.
You had, I guess. Oh no, D'Lo didn't cross 20 points. I don't know where I got that 26 number from. Anyway, the player who led the way is Dalton Knecht with 20 points.
Yeah.
D'Lo finished with 17. Max had 12. You had AD with 19. You had Rui and LeBron with 16. You had Austin with 13. Very balanced scoring in this one. I don't know if that's a sustainable equation here moving forward. For the Spurs, you had the Lakers kept Wemby in check. He only scored 20 points on the night. On 2 of 9 from 3-point range. He still, Raj,
Weird game. Mm-hmm.
this is the thing that makes me feel oldest in NBA discourse.
Mm-hmm.
I want my 7'5" guys shooting at the rim, like close to the rim,
Yeah.
more often than Wemby does. Harrison Barnes, fresh off of the Western Conference Player of the Week, he finished with 19. Champagne finished with 18. Other than that, you had Devin Vassell finish with 14. For the most part, fairly quiet offensive night here for most of the San Antonio Spurs. Raj, what do you think was the key in the Lakers beating the Spurs 119 to 101?
Yeah, just starting with Wemby, I think like for him, you would like success to kind of be your guide, and like his three was just never close. I think he hit one jab step three that kind of went in that was contested. But other than that, I thought his shot was off. And the Spurs, Anthony, I hope they never find a number two that can like get him the basketball in consistent places. Chris Paul can do it at times, but obviously Chris Paul with his age is just not the same player that he used to be in. But they surround him with like bucket getting guys and Devin Vassell. Stephon Castle is a nice kind of, distributor type of player, but he's a young rookie. Honestly, I thought the Lakers were just more focused, and I thought they played harder tonight. I thought there was a bigger energy level. I like the D'Lo, attack back at Chris Paul. I actually like that moment.
Yeah.
You called that, his entrance into like Laker legends, but like
Finally a Laker.
right. I just like the fight. And again, I just think Dalton entering that starting lineup, it just opens so much for the team. And I don't have this like on like any stat that can prove this exactly, but or someone maybe who can. It's just it feels like when Dalton starts, the Lakers are just more organized, Anthony. Like they run more plays, they run more sets, and I feel like that also leads to better transition defense because shots are coming where the floor is more balanced. It feels like there's less freestyle going on. Dalton 20 again. I think now he's averaging like 23 a game when he starts, which is just ridiculous. And you have that offensive, when you have that offensive package,
For
and I think
rookie,
for a rookie, and I think they're figuring out like LeBron, AD, Austin, and Dalton is kind of now. Dalton's kind of like jumped the fence of Rui and D'Lo and kind of entered like that stratosphere of he's one of your core offensive guys that we run stuff around. Like we put Dalton in action so other guys get open. Which like those other guys, Anthony, that I just named are LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Like that's the part of the thing that I think is so fascinating watching him play. And again, the Spurs aren't the Denver Nuggets, right? Like, and they're not even the Phoenix Suns. So like, you can't really judge. To me, like this doesn't change my huge kind of outlook on how those games went. But it was a good win. I thought they got back in transition a lot better than they have. I thought their defensive focus and engagement was much better. And Wemby helped a lot in this by, I don't know, taking half court threes and just all kinds of stuff that you're like, all right, thank you. You have Austin Reaves on you, and you take a jab step three. Thank you very much, sir. We'll go. We'll go the other way.
Real quick about Dalton, and we're going to talk a little bit about him later in the show too. But there was a moment in this one that I really singled out, and LeBron like made a pass that wasn't quite on target to Dalton, and normally if that happens and like that, I think Dalton still caught it, but still wasn't quite in rhythm enough to shoot it. And there was a couple positions went by. LeBron's going back from the time, into the timeout, into the huddle.
Mm.
And he like recalls the pass that he made. And he like calls back at Dalton. And he was like, "Hey, dude, like my bad," you know.
Mm-hmm.
And like my mom's like least favorite thing about LeBron is that he never says my bad. Like he
Yeah.
just like never acknowledges that. Like you have to be at like a certain level to get a my bad from LeBron. You know,
Yeah. Doesn't pass those out. Yeah.
yeah, and like when I saw that from LeBron, is there was another pass a little bit later that LeBron put on target. Dalton finished with a dunk at the rim, and LeBron just like very, you know, just kind of like he's very in tune with Dalton. I actually think he's kind of recreating the relationship on court that he had with like J.R. Smith. You
Mm.
know, where JR wasn't exactly the brightest bulb in the box, but he was like, dude, this dude is a fucking bucket, right?
Right.
This guy can, you know, if he's open, he's gonna knock it down out there. If he cuts and I see him there, he can finish at the rim because J.R. Smith was crazy athletic too. And then we'll just ignore what happens on the defensive end.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but I kind of feel like he's developing that rapport with Dalton here that is really fun to watch. And I think a really kind of important moment here was where he threw that pass just like slightly off target to Dalton, and it meant that Dalton wasn't able to get off a clean look, or I don't think he even shot because the pass was kind of off. And he's going back to the huddle, and LeBron's like looking back at Dalton, kind of remembers that he made that pass and goes, "Hey, dude, my bad." And I was like, I can count on one finger how many players LeBron has said my bad to so far in his Lakers tenure. And I think that like those are those little minor moments that really effing matters.
LeBron will test how much he can trust you. You know, like he'll continue to trust that. Like if you're hot, he's gonna just keep feeding you. I remember this game last year where D'Lo was on fire, and D'Lo, I think I was at the game, and D'Lo tried. I think it was against Milwaukee, and D'Lo tried to give it back to LeBron. LeBron's like, "What are you doing? Like you're free. You have not missed in like 10 minutes. Why are you handing the ball back to me?" There was a play. So Dalton, obviously, he hits 2 threes right away in the first quarter. And it's like, oh, yeah, this is the guy that should be starting. But then there was a play, Anthony. Just, again, this is the trust stuff. He goes and sets this inverted, sets a screen for LeBron, then slips it because San Antonio doesn't, read it right. And then it's like Harrison Barnes on him. Just super relaxed, catches the ball, turn around, fade away, cash. And it reminds me a lot of like the Kings Keegan Murray. Like Dalton won't like, there's very little facial kind of emotion from him. So he hits the fadeaway. He just goes back down, and LeBron looks at him like, "Oh, like you're one of those dudes." Oh,
bucket. Yeah,
that was not a normal
yeah.
just NBA basket. LeBron's like, "Hey, like good job," because LeBron will usually just go back the other way sometimes, but like he made sure to like give Dalton like adapts for hitting that. A lot of plays like that, a lot of stuff where he's coming off screens, getting floaters. I don't know, like 20-point a game guy averages for a rookie already. Like he's entering some conversations where I'm pretty now confident that he's kind of part of your offensive core. And I know we'll get into like what the team is, later on, but this Dalton breakout party feels like it just keeps going. Like the party was supposed to end 2 nights ago, and the lights continue to stay on, the music continues to play. And yeah, this is huge. And LeBron's trust gains, you could tell AD's trust gain is getting higher. Dalton even gave him the, every time the Lakers do like a cool assist, they put their, they do the binocular thing. I saw Dalton do that tonight for the first time.
AD,
it's like, yeah. So he's obviously really gaining the trust of the team. And to your point, that's really huge.
Yeah, I think it makes it a little complicated because your foot speed, if your backcourt is Dalton and Austin, is a little lacking, on the perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
But like for the time being, this is the I think identity that the Lakers have to have. I think I saw Andy Kamenetsky on ESPN, and he was like, the least flawed version of the Lakers is one where they're just trying to outscore teams, and we talk, it's here on the right side of your guys' screen, the new starting lineup, starting lineup tonight. The Lakers went with Austin, Dalton, Rui, LeBron, and AD. Now I thought after it didn't work with no, is this what? Oh no, they went back to Cam and Rui, right? When Cam came back.
Yes, when
or
when
when
Rui
Rui
came
came
back,
back.
yes, they
Yeah,
went
the
back
first couple
to
games it
camp.
was Cam and Rui.
Yes.
And then, Dalton is a better player than Cam is right now. So basically they went with like their most talented lineup that's still split up, Austin and D'Lo. And that's how you arrive at Austin, Dalton, Rui, LeBron, and AD, the lineup that you thought that they would maybe go to when Rui came back.
Yeah.
So they kind of split the difference between the way that you and I thought it would kind of play out. What'd you think of the new starting group?
Yeah, again against the Spurs, it's tough to judge entirely. Rui Hachimura hit a bunch of threes again,
They're
so
still playing pretty good ball, though. Like, this
yeah,
isn't like a tanking Portland Trailblazers team, This
no, no,
isn't like
for sure.
this
I
isn't
just
the
mean
Jazz.
no, no, it's not. But I just think they don't punish you on the offensive end as much as other teams. Like a serious team would have said we are scrapping the playbook, and if the Lakers want to switch everything, Wemby's putting it going into the post, and we're making sure like that's something we run every time. They got some stuff out of that, but a lot of times there's a lot of just junky offense that they were running. I think it looked fine, and my thing with this, Anthony, and I think it loses Rui in terms of his role, which is why I've been an advocate kind of maybe putting Rui on the bench and starting Cam and having D'Lo and Rui be your like offensive punches coming off the second unit. But tonight it was good. I think the offense ran pretty smooth. Rui again is still a threat, so it does help there. It's just the foot speed concern that you have with Austin and Dalton. I have that same concern with like Dalton and Rui, kind of as your swing players there, your non-LeBron swing players, especially against teams that have a lot of players that can attack off the bounce. But tonight it looked good. I thought Rui again looked like he attacked closeouts correctly. He got to the rim. He hit some threes. The guy hopefully we get to, I thought Max looked really interesting with that group. A confident Max looks really interesting with that group, but the starters work tonight. I think Rui's role, like this isn't the correct fit for him, right? Like if Rui is a guy that's just taking threes, I think you lose the value of Rui Hachimura. And I can tell he's still kind of lost in what he's supposed to be because we're running plays for Dalton. LeBron and AD are going to get their touches. Austin's going to run his ball screens. It's kind of like Rui, you fit in where you get in. And he did fit in nicely tonight with a Spurs team that can't really handle him when he gets inside. But yeah, stars look fine. I'm still a proponent, though, Anthony. I don't know about you. I'm still a proponent of Rui kind of going to the bench and starting another kind of defensive minded, swingman, whether that's Cam, whether that's Vando when he returns or whatever it is. I think that starters need just a little balance, defensively to get to where they want to be.
The Max thing, I want to talk about Max here in a little bit. The Rui, so Rui starting tonight, I think makes sense just from a get talent on the court. Because the thing about starters, everybody like there's a cliche that kind of formed, I would say, over the last like 5 to 7 years or so, where people just say, it doesn't matter who starts the game, it matters who finishes it. And that's true to a certain extent, but your starters still wind up playing like
a lot
more together than any other lineup that plays together.
Yeah, it's
So like
important.
starters do matter, like this
100%.
idea, like I remember arguing this back when Caruso was on the team, and I was like, hey, can we just start Caruso? Like he's clearly the best player that plays alongside LeBron and AD. Can we just like get him out there? Because back then the infatuation was with Rajon Rondo and it was with Avery Bradley, and it was like, nah, can we just get the better player out there? Caruso's still in the league, by the way. I don't think Raj, is Rondo or Bradley in the league?
No, I think Rondo's trying to get coaching jobs, and I have no idea where Avery Bradley is now.
And so like the starters do matter. And I think from that standpoint, it makes sense to give Rui the first bite at the apple here and continue to go back to that. But I think eventually, to your point about Cam and why you would maybe think that Cam would have gotten that spot instead of Rui tonight, I think that's where Vando might eventually get there, because Vando's the more talented player than Cam over Rui. So like we'll see how this goes. I think fortunately, unfortunately, depending on how you're looking at this, they're gonna have a little bit of runway here before Vando gets healthy. and we'll be able to find out, like, what this group can kind of look like over a pretty decent sample size. I think this is going to be the starting group here moving forward for the next like 10, 15 games or so. And I don't know. Just from a sheer identity standpoint, I'm really excited to see what this group can eventually kind of figure itself out to be. I get the point that you're making about like it kind of wastes Rui because he doesn't have to be a safety valve if you're running sets for
Right.
Dalton. And making Rui just a spot up shooter is a bit of a waste for him. But if Rui actually sticks with being a weak side cutter or crashing the boards from the weak side on those plays where Dalton is shooting from the other side of the court, like offensively, I think there's still a role for Rui. And then defensively, obviously, there's a bit of there's a big concern there with him compared to Cam. But if you're forcing the other team to take the ball out of the rim, the way that group does, and if you're forcing the other team, even on possessions that you don't score, to go out and try to score in transition against a balanced court that's now getting back on defense, that's how you make Rui a better defensive player than he is.
Yeah, I could see it. And again, I think this is a lot for me just watching Rui now for, however long he's been a Laker. Those are just things that I think are outside of his, that the stuff that he wants to do. And like the perfect guy, again, not to talk about him now, but like you just watch how Max plays, you watch how Cam plays. There's a level of like athleticism at the perimeter spot that I feel like we're missing with Dalton and Austin and Rui out there. It's just slow. And again, the Spurs aren't the team to take advantage of that. They just don't run the type of offense, or, they just don't have the ball handling that attacks you in that way. But yeah, if Rui can kind of give them that. And I've just, the last few days, I feel like it's been all about the Lakers don't have defensive personnel. And I agree with that to an extent. But I feel like Rui, LeBron, and AD should be a power group. It's just, I don't see that enough. Rui's like a finesse power big, which is like a weird sentence to like say out loud, right? But that's what he is. He's a power player on like some possessions, but for the most part, he's a finesse big that really translates on the defensive end. And I think we're just missing somebody that can mix it up on the inside, that boxes out really hard and really fights for boards. And that's not stuff that really does, especially when he's not offensively engaged. So I'm just trying to like, I guess, maximize Rui while also balancing the starting lineup. But I'm with you. I agree with you. I think this is going to be the starters for a while. I think JJ is going to let success be his guide on this. If the Lakers start losing, they have OKC on Friday, right? That's a really good team that they're going to play. We'll see how that game goes and see if they can kind of build momentum on it. But yeah, I just think eventually, you said they'll be without Vando, but I think he's kind of the guy you would hope to kind of fill in here. Yeah. And if this Max Christie stuff is real, then I think that opens some doors to Max hit threes. He was, I thought he was flying around on defense. He was athletic. That he just gives you an athletic profile that I think this team needs. But yeah, if Rui can play this role, if they're scoring at the rate they're already a top 4 offense while getting nothing from the bench pretty much on a nightly basis. And I think that can help the team. But I would like just to see one more defender in there. Maybe I'm just being picky with the starters. But like you said, the starters play a lot. They also play against the other team's best unit, and they usually close the game. That's just kind of how sometimes a 6-man will close. But usually your starters also close the game. I think it is important to find a starting group that can build some chemistry. But tonight it looked good, and I think this is going to be a very, very potent offense at least, at the minimum. And we'll see how much that can build on wins.
To your point about Max, his last 5 games, Raj, he's playing almost 19 minutes a game. He's only scoring about 6 points a game. And so like a lot of these sample sizes are very, very small. But he's shooting 63% from the field, and he is hitting 43% of his threes. Again, very small sample sizes, but like it's those baby steps, that you need from somebody as young as he is. The thing about Max is like he has been in the league longer than Dalton, but he's like 3 years younger than Dalton.
Yeah, very weird.
And like I think of their core rotation, he's easily the youngest. And like as somebody who I grew up as like the youngest player on all of my sports teams. I always played up, and I actually like entered school a year early. My mom was that sick of me. She was just like, "Get the hell out of my house. Go learn your alphabet and your numbers and shit. Like, just get out of my house." No, that's not actually what it was. Believe me. But uh like, you know, it can be kind of daunting to be the youngest guy in a team that has real aspirations, really trying to like
Sure.
build towards something. You have that kind of inherent imposter syndrome. And I think sometimes when I watch Max out there, you know, he had a dunk at the rim, obviously. And he was like it came off of, I think somebody hit a three, and then he like back cut, and LeBron found him on the
Yeah.
baseline, and he dunked it. Probably should have been an M1. And after he finished it, he like kind of landed on his butt, was running back down the court, and you can kind of like you could literally watch him looking around the court like, guys, did you see that? Did you see the play I just made? Should have been fouled. Did you see the play I just made? And like I think like these are the kind of like the steps that you're gonna watch him take over the course of the year as he kind of plays into the role that
Yeah.
A makes the most sense for the Lakers, and B is the one that they paid him for.
You know, it's funny. I was, at the South Bay game last night, and they're playing the San Diego Clippers. So that
Oh,
team has his brother Cam
yeah,
Christie,
Cam
and
Christie.
obviously I'm an only child, Anthony. But like, it's so crazy to watch how exact like their mannerisms and how they move, and
Yeah.
even like like when they get hit with these, like they make these same kind of move and complaint for a foul. But I'm watching Cam, like, man, because he was drafted as a better shooter than Max, and even like some people thought he could be a little bit more ready, even though he went a
Yeah.
little bit behind him in the draft selection, but in a better draft, I think. But yeah, I'm like, oh, he has the same issues Max does, like the exact same little slow release. Can't really
Yeah.
get a shot off yet. Doesn't really have the body that'll fill in. But then you watch Max today. Yeah, his athleticism popped, and sometimes growth isn't linear, and he just like sometimes
Oh,
players, you
it's
know,
never linear.
yeah. But I think like with
I'm somebody who was raised. I have raised one kid to be a toddler, and I'm working on kid number two, who's 2 years old. I am telling you, like growth is not linear. The other day, so I had a meeting with Darius and Pete from LFR, and like right before our meeting, Avery had figured out how to open up the front door, and she walked across the street to our like. Now fortunately I live on a cul-de-sac, and it's a very safe neighborhood that I live in, but she walked across the street and asked if she could just go and play at our at her best friend's house. And it's like she is the sweetest, best little girl, and she did something that was so wrong. Like it was the biggest fuck up she's made in her life to this point. And it was like I couldn't even be angry at her because I was angry at her, but I was like I was so taken aback by her making such a big mistake that I didn't really know what to do. I was like, Avery, you're in big trouble. Just go in your room. I can't talk to you right now because I don't know how to handle this moment. And it's like, I was like terrified because for a second there, she wasn't in my house. And like when we look at any number of these prospects that come into the league, none of the very 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 few of these guys have linear
right.
progressions, right? Like we happen to watch somebody or a couple of guys on this team that have fairly linear progressions in Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Those guys tend to have it figured out pretty quickly, and then they kind of grow at a pretty gradual rate from that point forward. Basically everybody else, it's like, well, you have your good days, your bad days, you have your you have days where you feel like you plateau, and then you maybe need to take a step back for a second. That's what we basically watched here with Max, and that's not even counting the fact that Darvin Ham seemed to openly hate the guy last year.
Right. And so that's why I think, not comparing them, but that's why like Dalton just feels special, right? Because it feels like the league kind of figured him out, and he's still able to get shots, right? The whole league, Anthony, is running at him flying at him, and somehow he's still getting like the 3 or 4 open shots he gets a game. He's knocking down, he's attacking closeouts. But with Max, yeah, it just feels like the game has slowed down for him. And like, I think that's really important for a young player like that. You talked about all the reasons, maybe he started slow. And one of them too is you just got paid, right? So there's expectations on top of that. Once you get paid, there are expectations of being an actual rotation player. Last year, he was the kid that can do no wrong, right? Every single thing that was wrong with the Lakers was like, hey, you got to play Max. And Max is sitting there, and I'm sure loving that, not loving that he's not playing as much as he wanted to, but
can you imagine? You said they're like, love it. Keep talking shit on cam.
Yeah, keep talking about Torian Prince. Just keep it going. This contract is gonna roll.
They suck. They suck, right? They're terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, his agent just absolutely pushing that out. But you could tell now the game's starting to slow down. It's crazy how basketball works, Andy, because you talked about the dunk he got. He got a few like finishes at the rim, hit a nice drive and kick as well. And then he had a transition 3. I was like, oh, that's going in, because he's feeling so good right now. Yeah. I know that shot is going in, and D'Lo shoveled it to him. He hit a 3 and kind of did the D'Lo ice in his vein celebration. But yeah, I know we talked about it before the season started. I thought Max being good is like so vital to this team, wherever this team wants to go, wherever their ceiling is. Max being good is a part of it. And it feels like he's, at least increasing and getting better with each game. This felt like a Max breakout game. He kind of joined the Dalton party. Dalton party was going on, and Max is like, "Can I come in?" He came in and kind of joined the party too. I think they're over 21. They can hit the party.
Yeah. Just barely. Max just barely, literally just barely.
Right.
Dalton has been over 21 a little bit. In this one, so Dalton, you look at the starting lineup and the minutes in the minute dispersal here. So you have Dalton playing 31, you had Austin playing 31, you had LeBron playing 33, AD played 35, Rui played 26. Koloko in his return to the rotation because of Hayes' injury, he played 8 minutes. I would like to see that number go up. I just think you're putting too much wear and tear on LeBron to ask him to play the 5 and the 1, at various points over the course of a game. So I'd like to see Koloko's minutes go up. Gabe only played 6 minutes, Raj.
6 more than he needs to. I'm sorry. That's not nice. It's just
it's true. It's true. like in those 6 minutes, he Raj, you want to guess how many shots he got up?
As much as you and I did?
Yeah, 0 shots attempted from anywhere on the court, 0 free throws attempted. His only stat on the night was a personal foul.
Yeah.
I think it's always been pretty clear what like the guard rotation should probably look like, right? If Austin is going to be the starting point guard, you only need D'Lo as your backup point guard. And then beyond that, Max and Dalton being your kind of 3A, 3B guards from there on at the 2 spot or whatever. That's really all you need. I don't know what role there is for Gabe here moving forward.
Well, I think the role was before Max kind of figured it out, right? So Max looked a little lost, and this is not just an offensive thing. I thought on the defensive end too, Max looked lost on what his rotation was, where he was supposed to be, letting guys go by him, gambling. But it feels like he's kind of solved that. And then Gabe, I think, does try, and Gabe's like the adult, right? It's kind of like, hey, Gabe, just go in there and do the right things, chase over screens, make the right plays, run the offense a little bit. And Gabe can do that. It's just, I think the floor is so low for him. It's kind of like, all right, that's what he does, but doesn't shoot open threes, doesn't attack closeouts, doesn't do what like Gabe Vincent got paid to do. So I always thought that we had one extra guard in the rotation, whether that be Max, whether that be Gabe. But if Max is good, I think that just increases your ceiling, where you don't need Gabe Vincent to play, because he continues a team that is just small. Like the Lakers went small a ton tonight, and a lot of that is out of necessity. Christian Wood is still out, Vanderbilt obviously out, and then Koloko gets limited minutes. You spoke on Koloko. I think Koloko is solid. Like I don't know what we're doing where players come back and get injured on the day they come back. Jackson Hayes played 1 game and is now going to be out another few weeks, but Koloko doesn't do anything flashy, but I think he's solid. He runs hard. He screens well. He catches lobs when they're there. Like the bar is low, obviously, that we're looking at, but I think he's been solid. And yeah, with Gabe, I think it's time. Like it's time. It's cut the cord. I think we have enough guards in the rotation. Max is playing well. I don't think you need Gabe Vincent out there anymore. But yeah, 6 minutes is nothing. Yeah.
Koloko also played the 3 minutes like down the stretch after the game was basically over. So he only played really 5 minutes of actual like gameplay. And that just seems really low, you know. And I don't even mean this like necessarily from a standpoint of, and I do kind of like what Koloko has offered. I'm just looking at it from the perspective of like, you know, AD played 35 tonight, LeBron played 33. Rui only played 26. So you're going to be really small if Rui is only playing 26 minutes. And you know, I just don't see how the math works out in the front court if Koloko is only getting 5 minutes in this game. And you know, maybe Christian comes back in the next couple of weeks, but that still means you have to get to those, you know, a couple weeks from now. So Koloko is really going to matter. And I know that like we actually got some minutes where AD and Hayes played together in the last game. And they literally bumped into each other on a couple of plays. I actually think Koloko has better instincts than Hayes does and is a better shot blocker than Hayes is. I think Hayes offers more upside because he's a little bit more explosive. He's a little bigger. So he could actually help you a little bit more offensively than Koloko does. But I think the difference between those two guys is pretty negligible. And had Koloko not gotten hurt, good chance that he'd be in the league and Hayes wouldn't, you know? I just don't think there's a discernible difference between the two of them. So I don't quite understand why JJ isn't treating Koloko as an extension of Hayes's role.
Yeah, I think there's just not a trust level there yet. I'm sure Koloko's on a two-way. He's kind of been down with South Bay and just got kind of inserted to the team when Hayes got hurt. But I'm with you. Like Jackson Hayes is way more talented, and that comes off right in all the offensive plays and the lobs and the flying down dunks can really, you know, get in the air. But Jackson Hayes also gambles a lot. His not IQ, but just when he defends anything that's not a switch, it feels like he just gets absolutely lost. Fouls a lot, reaches in. Jackson Hayes, Anthony, might have the worst, like when a guy complains about a foul and then you see the replay, you're like, that was a clear foul. What are you talking about? Like he might be the worst in the league at that. I'm not sure there's another player. And like Stu is so funny because he's like, oh, Jackson Hayes doesn't think it was a foul. Then the replay comes and Stu goes, oh, that's definitely a foul. He put his hands down. It's like every time.
Yeah.
And Koloko seems a little bit at least more disciplined in that area. And again, those minutes, you're just trying to survive, really, right? Non-AD minutes, you're just hoping like there's a solid foundation of just do your job, do the basics. Like, you know, we're not asking you to be Anthony Davis. Just, you know, run hard, catch lobs, and play your role. And I think Koloko can do that at like a 10 to 15-minute range, which is what AD sits for.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, is for Koloko to get 10 to 15 minutes. If you play some minutes that overlaps with AD, fine, whatever. But 5 minutes is really, really low if, you know, considering the way that the rest of the minutes went across this front court. Vando isn't available to play small ball center. Rui only played 26 minutes tonight. So that means that like LeBron was out there in a really small lineup, or AD was out there in a really small lineup. And I don't think they need to go that small. You're being small out of what they perceive as necessity, but I think what it is comfort.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this thing up here. We have a start comment, and then I want to take kind of a 1,000-foot kind of gaze at the state of the Lakers right now after that. So the first question, or the only question that we have here, comes from Justin Tyndall. We do get to play this thing though. Justin writes, thank you, Pels, for Dalton. We actually had two bench guys score double figures while shooting efficiently. D'Lo was 7 for 11, and Max was 4 of 6. And would you look at that? The bench looked like it made a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Do you have any do you have a theory on why D'Lo looked as comfortable as he did tonight?
Yeah, it's so interesting because like if you go look in the numbers, and I keep tweeting out the LeBron and AD numbers because I think it's important to note that your two best players are losing their minutes, let alone and by
JJ
a lot.
disagrees with you, Raj.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he thinks it's an issue in some way. But I think it's important. But D'Lo's numbers are great, and like off the bench, all his net ratings with a lot of trios or a lot of 4-man groups, they're really positive. The Lakers seem to go on runs on like when D'Lo's out there, and I think part of this is that D'Lo plays with Dalton a ton. Dalton plays with that second unit, and he plays with AD as well in those second unit kind of non-LeBron minutes. And not blaming this on LeBron, but those units kind of run. There's like a defensive balance and an offensive balance there that I think the starters are kind of still looking for. D'Lo not hitting 20 is kind of crazy for a guy who averages like 18 a game, I believe, for a lot of seasons. Still hasn't hit 20, but this was a very controlled night for him. His playmaking really came to the forefront. And I think something that you talked about and a lot of people talked about, you split up the Austin D'Lo pairing. It gives D'Lo a chance to really run his unit, and he's been running. I think he's played well in that manner as well. He's finding guys in transition. He's running pick and roll with AD. He's finding his shots. Tonight was his best shooting night, I think, in a while. This was the most floaters I think I've seen him take in forever. Got to the rim, and that's with Wembanyama out there. I think that's how, that's why I think D'Lo's playing well. Just really quickly on, what Justin talking about with the Pels giving us Dalton. DeJounte Murray, Anthony, I think we're like 1 for 13 or something in his debut, and the Pelicans lost by 30. It's just insane what's going on with that franchise. It's just it's unbelievable to me. The Zion stuff. This is like year 5 of can Zion play 3 games in a row? Like it's insane. But yes, thank you for Dalton, as Justin says.
Yeah, I mean, like, I remember like going into that decision that they were going to make, and people were talking to me as if it was like some
Genius
easy
Oh yeah,
decision on their part. It was like, oh yeah, sure, like
not a good
just
draft.
bet against LeBron and AD next year being as healthy as they were, and I get it from that perspective, but it was also like that was very close to a lottery pick that you guys just passed up on. And I don't think that Dalton would necessarily help what ails them right now, because what ails them is literal ailments. Like everybody is broken. And maybe maybe they're having the Memphis season from last year where it's just a disaster and there's just nothing that can be done about it. But at the same time, man, like you mentioned the Zion thing,
I don't get it.
they paid him the way that they did, and there was all of this like celebration at the fact that this guy like is finally going to start treating his body the way that a professional athlete should. And like, congrats, Zion, but like it might be too late. Once the body is accustomed to being carried a certain way. I watch that guy walk, man. That guy, you cannot walk back and forth like this the way that he does. Miles Brown, one of my favorite follows on Twitter, was like, Zion looks like he bumps into each wall in the hallway every step that he takes.
Yeah.
And it's like you can't carry your body weight the way that he does and then just like turn it on and be a spectacular athlete and then like expect that to be the case from that point forward. The only athlete that I can ever really think of being that awkward away from the professional kind of like forum or arena, and doing so sustainably, was Dominique Wilkins, where if you ever watch Dominique Wilkins walk, like he's a little pigeon toed. And and you would like you kind of like watch him shuffle on the ground, and you're like, man, that guy was really an elite athlete. But the thing about the thing about Neek was he kept himself in incredible shape. That dude was a fucking Greek statue.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like there are times where I'll watch Zion play and he's like huffing and puffing during warm-ups. I'm like, dude, you know you have to play. You have a game to play, right? Like that guy's like, man,
Yeah.
did you see that dunk I just made? I was like, bro, you have 48 minutes. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. And so I'm no like I wear like a 10.5 in shoes, so I'm not trying to put my feet in Zion shoes here, and not trying to body shame or anything like. It's just they had the tattoo video come out, Anthony, of like what he'd look like, and it's like that's not an NBA body, and like I was gonna say I remember, but it's only been 6 years, right? I think the Zion's draft was 2019, same year that AD got traded to the Lakers. Zion at Duke was an insane athlete. That was
Yeah.
a generational, you pick that guy number one, no matter what, right? Type of
Literally
thing.
blew out of his shoes, was too athletic for the shoes that they put on his feet.
Exactly. And so it's funny because like LaMelo's doing crazy stuff now, right? They're kind of looking like, hey, this is the same guy that was scoring 92 at Chino Hills, and he's doing all this. My favorite LaMelo, somebody tweeted this, I can't remember who said it, but LaMelo plays like he plays with AirPods on, which is just the perfect description of LaMelo Ball. If you ever watch someone play with AirPods on, like that's exactly how they play. But LaMelo and Zion, like, were in the same kind of situation there, and kind of they played against each other in high school and all that type of stuff. And to watch Zion now become, he just fired his agent, and the story came out that he wanted to go to New York. It's like, you want to go to New York? You play 3 straight games? Like, can you give the team that your team that you're
Zion,
on
you want nothing to do with New York.
why do
I'm
you think he
telling you,
wants to go to New York though? And like, what, he's got the money. He's a star when he plays. What's the infatuation for him for New York? Like, I don't get that play 6 years later. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand it for him.
no, I'm saying it would be a dumb move if he tried to force himself to New York, because like, look, New Orleans, I love the city of New Orleans. One of my absolute, you know what, man? I moved to Austin, so obviously it's like my top, like it's my favorite American city.
Okay.
But New
I've
Orleans,
never
like
been.
a very close second, because and I'll say this about New Orleans, it is the only American city that has its own like culture to it. Okay, so I'm saying this like from a place of love for the city of New Orleans, but their top priority is clearly football, right? Like it's the Saints, it's LSU, like it's a region that values football above basketball. And so like there has been for a little while a bit of like patience for Zion. But if
Sure.
Zion, like if the Saints had drafted Zion number 1 overall at whatever position, and Zion like there was this many questions about his conditioning, and then there was this and then there were these stories that rose like out of nowhere about like how he wanted to go to New York. The city of New Orleans would be like, dude, get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. We don't want you anymore. Like there's just there would not be the patience for it. And that reaction from like Saints fans, or folks from New Orleans about a football player, that's how people in New York feel about their basketball players.
Yeah.
So if let's say Zion somehow got his wish and a couple years ago had gone to New York, it would have been an unmitigated disaster. Spike Lee would be making a freaking mockumentary about some fat basketball player at this point already. Like that would already happen. And he'd be like, yeah, the guy's name is Lion. Yeah, the guy's name is Lion Williamson. And it would be some like, depiction of this athlete, this spoiled athlete that like just doesn't get what it takes to be a professional. And like my thing with Zion is that like, man, like just focus on the main thing. You know, it's the same thing I would say about Ben Simmons from a couple of years too. And now like now that Simmons is reaching like his free agency, now we're
Yeah.
starting to see him take basketball a little bit more seriously. Like,
Funny how that works. Yeah.
yeah, focus on the main thing. But
Yeah.
like win at the main thing, and the other stuff is going to come. The reason that Julius Randle was given the opportunity he got there eventually at in New York was because he played pretty damn well when he got the opportunities that he did in New Orleans. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It's not like New York was like, man, give me some Julius Randle right from the get when he was drafted. It was like, no, he went and he worked his ass off in New Orleans, and then he got to New York and he became a really popular player there in that New York community because they saw that guy put that work in. At no point in Zion's career have I ever heard from a single person close to the New Orleans Pelicans or anywhere around the league that this guy puts the work in. Like,
No.
good luck, bud.
So my read on this is that Zion doesn't respect the market. And so you just talked about if he did all these things in New York, and I'm of the opinion that I think he would have, like, and it's sad to say it like this, but I think he would have taken it more serious in New York, and he would not be this way. And I think he is this way because he doesn't respect the market. He wants to get out, and that's just the read I've gotten, obviously from the outside. My guy Impatient Bull does a great job covering, the Pelicans. There's Pelicans Film Room does a great job as well. But from the outside, I just watched Zion, and it's funny you compared Ben Simmons. Very similar in terms of like they're very like focused on what they are as players. Like Ben Simmons always talked about, I'm never taking a jump shot, don't need to. Zion Williamson, same thing. I'm never taking a jump shot. I don't need to, right? I think his first game ever, he hit like 2 threes. Didn't shoot a 3 again for a very long time and has really just taken that out of his game. He's a bully downhill and he's a ridiculous scorer when he's healthy. Like the player Zion Williamson is a ridiculous guy.
Man, absolutely.
Shaq numbers in the paint.
That's why I'm so frustrated by the guy. I watch that guy play. I'm like, man, you could be so effing good.
Yeah.
Like everybody always thinks about like the antithesis to love is hate or frustration or anything like that. No, it's apathy.
It's indifference.
Like,
yeah.
I hate it when I see like great and talented players just waste that talent. I'm watching Zion, and yeah, like when he gets out there and he's scoring like 27 points, 28 a game, or his per 36 numbers are even more insane.
Stupid
and then
numbers.
his field goal, his field goal plus percentage is just out of the fucking world. I'm like, man, like if you got and kept your head. The thing is, Raj, like the one place I'll disagree with you on as far as like disrespecting the market, and this was my concern literally from the episode prior, when you ducked the smoke about Drake, but like, I always get nervous when I start hearing that Q word, the quit word around players and around cores, and I've been a little nervous about like with the Lakers, and I said this in yesterday's episode, was how like I don't love that AD and LeBron quit on Frank, and then AD and LeBron quit on Ham, and then now like you watch the Denver game, you watch the Phoenix game, and enough people that I saw like that I trust, like NBA minds, were like, yeah, that's what it looks like when guys start quitting on a coach. And once you kind of have that habit, once you fall into the habit of quitting, I know there are like 0 country fans listening to this podcast. But one of my favorite songs by, God dang it, I'm going to forget the guy's name, but it's a song called, Voices by Chris Young. And it's, and one of the things that like, he's talking about like all the voices like that spoke to him over the years. Right. And he's talking about how his dad said, like, once you quit once, you're going to quit for the rest of your life. And that's what I got a little nervous about when I saw the Denver and the Phoenix games back to back. Was like, okay, is this an extension of that habit, or is this just like a one-off this season? And when I hear you say that, like, yeah, he's just quitting on that market, or he doesn't respect that market. If you don't respect that market after all the money that market gave you, then it's already in your like blood to give
yeah.
up and not respect the game at some point anyway.
Yeah,
And
100%.
if you like, again, like I talked about with New Orleans, it's one thing to do that stuff in New Orleans, but it's another thing entirely to be like, yeah, I want to be in New York. That's cool. That like it's cool that you want to be in New York. But I don't think Zion has any idea whatsoever, or has at any point in his career had what kind of commitment to the sport that market requires and demands of you, and he doesn't uphold that commitment right now, and it would be a disaster if he went to New York.
Yeah, it just feels like that's where he wants to be. And to your point about, you can quit, and like I always said, once a star learns he can jump teams, like he'll continue to do that, right? So James Harden, once he got traded, not from OKC but from Houston to Brooklyn, he's like, oh, this is all I have to do to move. All right, I don't like Brooklyn. Cool, I'm gonna do this same routine again. Let's go to Philly. Philly works
Yeah,
out. Philly doesn't work. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna jump over to the Clippers.
exactly.
Yeah, Kevin Durant's not similar station, not exact same, but Kevin Durant, once he disrespected the
It's a
situation, he's
different
like,
flavor, but it's like the same kind of wing.
same kind
Yeah.
of thing, right? I can jump here, I can jump there, I can jump there, and now he's jumped to Phoenix. It's like, all right, Kevin Durant has turned into a hired gun, and like it's just to your point. Like once you create precedent of that, it can really stick. So hopefully Zion figures it out. It's just, I don't know, man. That tattoo video was like, oh, that guy's doesn't look close to like ready for for any type of basketball or anything like that.
There's a comment. Screw it, whatever. I'm gonna put it right there. I have a dog who hurt his leg. I took him to the vet and said he tore his knee ligaments because he's fat. My dog is Zion Williamson.
Oh my God.
It's an example. It's an example of a potentially similar situation.
Yeah.
Look, man, I'm somebody who throughout my high school and college careers or whatever, I carried my body weight was anywhere between like 165 and like 180. And I was in like good shape. And then once I crossed the 200-pound threshold, that's when like I started to notice, like, man, my feet
We're
hurt.
not going
My
back.
back hurts. like my like all the shit like hurts. And it's like, yeah, if you just like walk around with like a 25-pound weight all the time and then drop it at the end of the day, and you're like, man, I feel way better. Wow. Like, I'm saying this shit from experience. Like at one point in my life, I was like, I could dunk, I could like spike volleyballs, I could do all kinds of like really acrobatic shit. And at this point, even in my life, still I can still backflip because like there's a level of athleticism that I still have. But it's still like I wake up in the morning, I'm like, man, if only I had like 30 less pounds on my body, I would feel so much better. That's why I eat salads for lunch.
Walking around with a weight vest, my weight vest is like 25 pounds.
Like, I'm just telling you, like your knees are always gonna hurt, your ankles are always gonna hurt. Like it doesn't matter what shoes you wear. You're like, man, what the hell? I'm telling you, Zion, get at me, bud. I will tell you all about the downside to carrying all of the extra weight that you have carried since you've gotten into the NBA. All right. On that note, let's send everybody off into Thanksgiving.
This was fun.
All right. This is a good time, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. A quick reminder, please do hit that subscribe button wherever it is that you get your podcast here in the morning. And then if you guys are watching live, please hit that subscribe mostly like button. If you guys are watching on Twitter, head on over to youtube.com/@LakersLounge to subscribe to the show there. And also, while Raj is here, check out Raj's coverage for Clutch Points of the South Bay Lakers. He's been freaking killing it. It's been really fun to watch him dip his toes into those waters and get to talk to people the way that he has. and watch him like develop as a writer and as a reporter. Raj, has been really, really fun. Anything specific that you want to plug before we get you out of here?
Yeah, so I'm, writing about Armel Traore, who he had 22 rebounds last night. That's a South Bay record. So I got to talk to him post game, and it was cool. It's funny, the Lakers flew him out, Anthony, for one game. It's very strange. They flew out the two-way guys for one. So they played last night, and then they flew him to San Antonio, for one game. So him and Maxwell both got, I'm sure, really nice flights to San Antonio and got to go enjoy, I guess, one night.
Ronnie's like,
not
what?
even.
This is what travel can be? Huh?
Yeah. So writing about them, and then spoke to Quincy, who's still healing up from an ankle injury, but he was averaging like 30 a game before. So yeah, it's been really cool getting close with the coaches and all that stuff, and just a fun time. It's so amazing to like actually talk to the players, and usually the only one there. So like it's where the Lakers practice, and it's just huge quiet place where I'm just standing there and get to talk to the players, and it's a freaking dream come true for sure.
It's awesome, bud. It's awesome to watch you take advantage of this opportunity. You're doing a really, really good job doing it. And also, like, shouts to the South Bay Lakers for being as open and welcoming as they have been to somebody who is brand new to the beat as well. So shouts to the Lakers, shouts to the South Bay Lakers for that. And to all of you who are celebrating your Thanksgiving here in a matter of hours or so, please be safe. I know that, there's going to be a lot of politics talk. There's going to be a lot of wine there at the table. There's going to be, the temper's going to flare. Whenever those tempers flare, man, dial up an Uber and hop into an Uber and get home safely, because, that one dumb decision can change not just your life, but a lot of lives around you, and then a lot of lives that you have no idea about while you're making that decision. So please celebrate Thanksgiving and this entire Thanksgiving weekend safely, and enjoy the good times and enjoy your family and all that good stuff. But like on top priority here, man, please be safe. Raj, what's your favorite side?
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask you, actually. I was like, before we go, I think we should end on that. I'm a macaroni person, and so I just
like a macaroni salad, or
no, like the baked macaroni and cheese.
okay.
So we're trying this one this time because my mom's gonna she already has so much she's cooking, and we went to Costco and they have like a baked macaroni and cheese already created, so we're gonna try that. But I'm a huge macaroni and cheese guy and a mashed potatoes and gravy guy. Like I mix mashed potatoes and gravy with like cranberry sauce. I don't know if you've ever done that, but yeah.
Look at me, Raj. I've tried it all.
I was like, have you ever mixed those two things? You're like,
I actually hook it up to an IV in the morning. All right, so here's my thing. So you're gonna get that dish that is like pre-done from Costco.
Put in the
mac
oven.
and cheese dip. Yeah. All right. I don't know if your mom has any like panko breadcrumbs.
We use garlic bread. Does that work? Will that work?
No, like just like bread, like because they like sell, like ask your mom if
just
she has
straight
any panko
breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so cook the mac and cheese the way that you would.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then cover it with some panko breadcrumbs. And it gives it like a crispy shell over the top of it. And then after you cook it, and when you put it on your plate, I don't know if you like spicy food, but hit it with a little cayenne pepper. And I'm telling you, a little bit of cayenne makes it like a southern kind of mac and cheese. And it is, because a lot of Thanksgiving food can kind of mix in, like it becomes a lot of the same flavor over and over and over again. But if you have a little bit of like just a little bit of kick on that mac and cheese, it kind of breaks up the monotony of the rest of the flavors elsewhere, because it's a lot of gravy, it's a lot of bread, it's a lot of butter, it's a lot of like it like all of those flavors kind of mix in together. But I'm telling you, hit it with a little bit of cayenne, just enough to kind of coat the top of it, and then mix it up so that you know not all of your bites are cayenne pepper. And I'm telling you, bud, like
All right,
that
I'll
changes
definitely
your
try that.
life. It changes your life hitting the mac and cheese with a little cayenne. And then also, like, look, I'm telling everybody, stuffing is the best.
Okay.
Like stuffing is the best side that you can get on Thanksgiving, because for whatever reason we decided we do not eat it other parts of the year.
Yeah, we don't know.
It's like it's a delightful, and again, like it's the kind of flavor that kind of mixes in with the rest of like the Thanksgiving vibe, you know? That's why sweet potatoes are always really popular, is because like there's like no sweetness elsewhere in on the plate.
Yeah.
So like, you know, a little bit of kick with the mac and cheese, sweet potatoes, the yams are incredible too. But that stuffing, here's my secret to making good stuffing. That dish that you put it into the oven with, heat the dish up first. And then you put the stuffing onto that dish and you put it into the oven, and it actually toasts the bottom of that dish, so that like instead of just having the top layer of the stuffing, it has that texture to it. The bottom of it has it too. And when you scoop it, it's a more balanced dish, or it's a more balanced side dish by the time that you serve it. So those are my two kind of like my two kind of like secrets, as somebody who is very, very well versed in Thanksgiving dinners.
Do you have to have turkey on Thanksgiving? Are you like
Dark meat, only dark meat. I don't mess with the white meat turkey. It's too dry.
Oh, really? Even on Thanksgiving? No turkey?
Dark meat turkey. So like turkey
Oh, I see.
leg, turkey
Okay.
thigh,
Oh, I
you
see.
know, like
Okay.
stuff like that. But I don't like turkey breast. It's too dry.
Gotcha.
The vast majority of like, actually, Jen makes a really good turkey, but we aren't eating her turkey tomorrow. So like the house that we're going to, they're gonna overcook their turkey breast. They're gonna under butter the turkey breast. But the nice thing about turkey is it has thigh, it has the turkey leg, and that dark meat is pretty foolproof as far as like, you know, maintaining the flavor on it. So I'm always a big ham guy, and I'm always a big dark meat turkey guy.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering. We're doing no turkey this time. It's just chicken. So it's like
Chicken?
yeah.
Not even ham?
No, we're doing chicken. I'm a chicken guy, so I like chicken a lot.
Dark meat chicken, at least? Like, do some thighs, and is it just
Yeah, I think so. I think some. I'm not 100% sure. We'll figure it out to find out tomorrow.
Well, just a heads up, like most places are closed tomorrow, so like figure that out. Like, oh man, chicken? Not even like I've done it like a prime rib. Prime rib is fun on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, no, I think we're just doing it because we already have some. I'm like the sides are like what make it for me, honestly.
Yeah, that's probably
on
true.
Thanksgiving.
The sides are turkey dinner or Thanksgiving dinner is the rare meal where the sides are the star.
And the pies.
It's like last year's Celtics.
Yeah.
Where like Jason Tatum didn't matter. It's all
about Jaylen Brown and Derek White and Drew Holiday.
Exactly.
This is perfect. This is absolutely great. We got a Jason Tatum diss like in this Thanksgiving conversation. That just
absolutely. All right, everybody. Please enjoy your Thanksgivings very, very safely as you can. Enjoy your family, because you don't know. Like, look, man, I said it heading into the election. I'll say it coming out of it. I'm not going to talk to you guys about how I feel about politics, but what I will say is that like the people that you guys are going to be angry or angry at each other about and yelling at each other about, do not give a bleep about you. So just enjoy each other's company, because you don't know how long you're actually going to have everybody around for. And on that note, please do hit that subscribe button. Please do hit that like button. Have a great rest of your guys' weekend. I'm going to take the rest of this week off. You guys can hear it in my voice. I do not have one left over. So hopefully by the time you guys hear from me again on Sunday, I will have a voice again. And until then, I'm Anthony Irwin. That was Raj Shapalu. Have a great rest of your weekend. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And I'll talk to you again on Sunday.